And here we go. Hello, everybody. Stacks back the numbers. And I wanted to do a quick update here. I know I'm coming to you right after the close, but I wanted to talk about something that I'm seeing here, not only in the technicals, but of course, as we spoke about in the past, we like to keep an eye on brand name companies like this one. We wait for them to come down into these channels, consolidate, sell off back to a key level, sell off back to a fair or undervalued price, and then we can consider stepping in and just kind of playing that rebound. And that's what I think we have going on here with the Coca-Cola Company, ticker symbol KO here on the New York. Stock closed right at 63 and 3/4, up about 76 cents, 1.2%, up a little bit after hours. But what I wanted to show you here again, first of all, Coca-Cola, it was up at the 70s, as you see, about a month and a half ago, and now we're down here at the low 60s, and we started to climb out. So shout out to not only myself, but of course Mitchell as well. Shout out to Mitchell in the Discord. Again, Discord's free for you guys to join, and I have an expired link in the Discord. I do that purposely because a lot of the bots were coming in and joining the Discord. So I'm aware that's an expired link. If you'd like to join the Discord, all you got to do is leave a comment asking for a link, and I'll post you a fresh link, no problem. But Discord, but Coca-Cola, as we see, we had the gap down here, earnings. This is back, this is back on the end of October, so we're looking at about 4 weeks. You can see we had a little gap down, and then we've just kind of been channeling downward here. I drew out this key level for a lot of people in the Discord because this trend line, if we back it up, is this massive kind of symmetrical triangle that the stock was in basically since the big drop there in 2020, and then from the highs that it ran to basically straight into April of 22. So I just drew the lines across the top and off the bottom there, and you can see that recently the stock popped up and out about 4 or 5 months ago. Went on a nice big run up to 73. Now we've been coming back down. So I know there's a lot circulating now with these food and beverage stocks. So in my opinion, I will say this. In the short term, this bounce off this trend line looks pretty solid. We had this downward consolidation channel right to the key level there, and now we're breaking up and out. So calls are already up about 60-70% across the board for those people in the Discord. Again, Discord's free for you guys to join if you want to come in. But this, in my opinion, I mean, we're talking easily. I'm looking back here, maybe. I'm looking for like 66.5, potentially $67 here on this rebound. Then it might reject and start to pull back. Because again, I just want to remind everyone that sometimes we have these premature breakouts of these patterns, right? So this is a long-term symmetrical triangle, and you can see the apex is here, right? It would technically be like next quarter's earnings, or even a month or two after that. But you can see we had the premature breakout. And now what happens is we come back down, and you can see a little bounce here, make some money off the calls, but then it might reject and pull back inside the range and hang out, and then decide to break itself up or down. So that's why anytime I see a premature breakout of a pattern, in my opinion, it's not necessarily set in stone that it's just going to continue to go up and up or continue to go down and down. Because even, again, when it has these premature pops or drops, it may slowly make its way back in, and then the obviously original pattern rings true. But anyway, long story short, I like KO here in the short term, and again, calls are up right now. And if we look here, you can see the moving average here. What am I on? The 1 year? Yeah, it's a 1 year chart, and you can see the moving average is up slightly above 64, so we still have about another half a point to go before we may run into some slight resistance. But in my opinion, again, it was doing very well, came all the way back down to earth, and then had a nice bounce and broke out of this channel. So in my opinion, I think KO is going to be on the up and up, probably for at least another 2.5 points from this level, in my opinion, conservatively. Now, over the long term, this is why I said, in my opinion, when we mentioned the calls in KO, I said, in my opinion, this was going to be very short-lived. Because I've already seen posts on X, formerly known as Twitter, and again, I'm not sure how accurate it is, I'm not sure how quickly it will happen, but supposedly RFK is going to push somebody like Coca-Cola to start incorporating real cane sugar back into the beverage as opposed to using artificial sweeteners like corn syrup. So this is why I was saying, in my opinion, once January actually rolls around and Trump gets sworn in, and all of these people who are expecting to make these changes are actually in these roles to make the changes, then that's when I feel the trades are going to fall apart. So I know a lot of you are waiting for my Trump video, and apparently everyone and their brother put out 5 stocks, 10 stocks they'd buy under Trump. And in my opinion, right now I'm in wait and see mode. I'm very confident about a lot of plays that are going to materialize for us over the next year or two based off of Trump administration. But basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to see how the market would react going into January, seeing the January effect, and of course, waiting until he actually gets sworn in, which I believe is about the 3rd week of January. So while we have this kind of potential dark cloud looming with something like KO and RFK forcing them to maybe reformulate the beverage, at the end of the day, that will not be implemented until he's actually the whatever Secretary of Health and Human Services or whatever it is, right? So this is why I'm saying, in my opinion, you could catch the bounce here, KO calls, and then it could come back down here. But again, in my opinion, any play that you take on KO is going to be short-lived over roughly the next 60 days. Because I would personally, even if this starts to run back up to like 70 going into year end, in my opinion, I would personally cut the position and liquidate it before the ball drops. Because I have a feeling that a lot of these changes and policies that we've been hearing about, I personally have a feeling that they're going to be implemented, if not on day one, then probably within the first couple of weeks. So that's why as we near January, the end of January, and Trump's about to get sworn in, I would liquidate all of these positions, i.e. food and beverage stocks across the board. I don't give a crap if it's Hershey, Coca-Cola, Campbell's Soup, I don't care what it is. In my opinion, I wouldn't own any of them because they all use these preservatives, these food dyes. So chances are, unless it's 100%, organic, clean snack foods or something like that, then chances are the stocks are probably going to take a hit in that sector. You understand what I'm saying? So in my opinion, short-lived play here on KO, but in the technicals, I like it. And let's switch over to stock charts real quick. I'll let you go. I just wanted to give my piece about not only the rebound in KO, but also the fact that, again, in my opinion, short-lived. This is not something that I would personally get married to, so to speak. But in my opinion, you can see that the the RSI, look at this, was all the way down to like sub 20 here. The stock was getting beaten up, and now we're staging the comeback, right? And even with this bounce here, you can see the daily RSI here on the close, just a touch over 40. So we definitely have more room to go. We have our 200-day at 64.05. We have our mid-Bollinger Band at 64.11. So in my opinion, that could be the next stop as well, but chances are it really should get above and break right through that. You can see after bouncing and coming out of that little consolidation channel, we also have the MACD crossing to the upside, indicating bullish momentum. So that's why I'm saying a run back up here to like 66 and change, back to this top Bollinger Band that now curled down with the stock of roughly 67. In my opinion, that should be a layup, really, so to speak, and it could be a nice quick in and out for you guys. But again, markets are up big today. We had the Dow run, I think, like over 600 points. Now we pulled back to close at about 460. So very healthy green day. So we know that now we could be flat. We could go a little red. But again, if we're talking over the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, in my opinion, I think this KO call play is in play right here, so to speak. But you can see the MACD cross to the downside on the weekly. That kind of added to this whole sell-off. And now we can see that, in my opinion, we're probably going to stop and curl and bottom out here. And also you can see that the 50-day moving average here, 63.09, stock at 63.76 this week. It's up 3.25% for the week and technically just closed above the 50-day moving average on the weekly. And you can also see the mid-Bollinger Band on the weekly is a touch below 68, which is why I'm saying back to 66, 67, again, in my eyes, really shouldn't be an issue. And you can see also the RSI was down to basically about 35, and now we had the bounce. And the weekly RSI is only sitting here at 43 as well. So the stock could still be viewed as oversold. And again, ready to stage a little bit of a comeback. And that's why I'm saying it had the big drop from 73 down to 61 or whatever. So if we can easily retrace even half of that before it decides to stop, pause, and come back down, right? So that's why I'm saying it could be short-lived. But again, in my opinion, I would not personally own any food or beverage stocks going into the new year, unless they are significantly undervalued. One that comes to mind might be Celsius. I know a lot of people like Celsius, CELH. And in my opinion, I agree with that. It also looks like it kind of went through a similar pattern as KO. So right now, I'm personally bullish on CELH in the short term as well. But again, in my opinion, I really do think RFK is just going to start taking a chainsaw to these businesses here with the foods and the beverages. So that's why, again, I would personally be treading very lightly going into 2025. But that's pretty much it, because the business itself hasn't changed. I always said KO, again, brand name in the space, and when you see it pull back again to the low 60s, or even before this breakout, right? That's what I mean. You have a $60 stock and change. Once you start to see the breakdown to like 55, 53, that is when you usually have to strike, because a company like this usually rebounds and climbs back to where it was for the most part. PE 26. Market cap 274 billion right now. EPS has been solid for the last 4 quarters. Quarterly revenue for the most part stepping up. We recently touched that 12 billion mark. We're profitable here. Look at last quarter, 24% profit margin, very nice. Over the years, we're steadily growing. Revenue last year almost 46 billion, again 23% profit off of said 45 billion in revenue. So we know the company is healthy, and that's why, in my opinion, the one little hiccup that could be tossed into this machine is the RFK policy implements that are potentially coming here. We can see debt up to 46. We have 14 billion in cash, right? So that would be negative 32 billion roughly. We have assets outweighing liabilities in both the short and the long term. We have total equity consistently climbing, now up to above 28 billion. So what? We'd still be negative about 4 billion in change, but we brought in 46 billion. And we made almost 11 billion. So again, that would put us positive, like 55 billion or something. And you can see that with the market cap here at roughly 274 billion, we're trading roughly about 5x of quote unquote fair value with a 26 PE. And that's why a brand name like Coke that just pulled back, that usually has this rebound potential, as the markets are now continuing to climb, then chances are, in my opinion, it's going to take KO with it, at least here in the short term. But that's just my opinion, and that's it. I'll end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up, algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.